Have you ever wondered why some people seem to fade away after 80, even if they were vibrant and sharp just a few years before? It's easy to chalk it up to just getting old, or assume it's all about genetics or luck. But what if I told you that the real reasons are often hidden, subtle, and most importantly, within your control? In this video, I'm going to reveal 6 unexpected reasons that quietly shorten life after 80. Reasons you won't hear about in most health talks or doctor's visits. These aren't the obvious culprits like diet or exercise, but deeper, overlooked factors that creep in silently, stealing vitality from even the healthiest seniors. As a counselor specializing in the psychology and health of older adults, I've seen countless people in their 80s and 90s transform their lives by addressing these hidden issues. And the best part, once you know what they are, you can take small, meaningful steps to protect your health, your spirit, and your longevity. If you're watching this for yourself or someone you love, stick with me until the end, because these 6 reasons and the practical solutions I'll share could change the way you age. I'll also share a deeply personal story from my own family that taught me why these factors matter more than we think. So let's dive in and uncover what's really holding so many back from thriving past 80. Reason 1, the erosion of everyday curiosity. One of the most overlooked reasons people struggle to live past 80 is the gradual loss of everyday curiosity, the spark that drives you to learn something new, try a different path, or ask what if. Curiosity isn't just a personality trait, it's a lifeline for your brain and body. In my years counseling seniors, I've noticed that those who stop being curious about the world around them often fade faster, not because they're sick, but because their minds and bodies lose the signal to keep growing. Think about your life in your 60s or 70s. Maybe you took up painting, learned to bake sourdough, or got hooked on true crime podcasts. Those moments of exploration kept your brain buzzing. But after 80, many people pull back. The news feels too negative, smartphones seem intimidating, or you convince yourself you've seen it all. The danger is that when curiosity fades, so does cognitive resilience. Research shows that engaging in novel activities stimulates the brain's hippocampus, the hub for memory and learning. Without that stimulation, neural connections weaken, leaving you feeling foggy, disconnected, or even apathetic about life. I once worked with Margaret, 83, a retired teacher who loved mystery novels. After her husband passed, she stopped reading, saying she didn't have the energy. Within a year, her memory slipped and she felt aimless. I suggested she join an audiobook club at her local library. At first, she hesitated, worried she wouldn't keep up. But the stories reignited her curiosity, and soon she was debating plot twists with new friends. Her memory stabilized, and her doctor noted improved blood pressure, likely because her brain was active and her stress lower. Margaret's story isn't unique. I've seen similar transformations when seniors rediscover curiosity, whether through learning a card game or watching a lecture series online. What sets my perspective apart from typical advice is that curiosity isn't just about mental exercise like puzzles. It's about staying open to life's possibilities. For example, I had a client, Tom, 86, who felt stuck in a rut. He started attending a local astronomy club, not because he knew much about stars, but because he wanted to understand his grandson's passion. Those weekly meetings didn't just teach him about constellations, they gave him a reason to get out, connect, and feel alive. Curiosity also has physical benefits. Exploring new activities like trying yoga or visiting a farmer's market keeps your body moving, which supports heart health and balance. To bring curiosity back, start small. Sign up for a free community workshop, ask a neighbor about their garden, or browse a new section of your library. Even watching a YouTube tutorial on something unfamiliar, like digital photography, can spark joy. These acts tell your brain, we're still growing. They also counter the isolation that often creeps in when you stop engaging with the world. Unlike the original content's focus on micro-social engagement, I see curiosity as the root that makes those interactions meaningful. Without it, conversations can feel hollow. If you've noticed yourself sticking to the same routines or shying away from new experiences, don't wait. Curiosity is medicine, and it's never too late to rekindle it. Try this. Pick one thing you've always wanted to learn about, maybe bird watching or jazz music, and spend 10 minutes exploring it today. Notice how it feels to be a beginner again. Your brain and body will thank you, and you might just rediscover a spark you thought was gone. Comment reason 1 below if this resonates with you, and let's keep exploring what keeps us vibrant past 80. Reason 2, the weight of unspoken fears. Another silent thief of longevity after 80 is the weight of unspoken fears. Those quiet anxieties about falling, losing independence, or becoming a burden to loved ones. Unlike grief, which can be mourned openly, fear often feels shameful to admit, especially for seniors who value their strength. In my practice, I've seen how unaddressed fears physically and emotionally drain people, shortening their lives in ways that go unnoticed until it's too late. Fear doesn't just live in your mind, it takes root in your body. When you're constantly worried about slipping on a wet floor, forgetting a grandchild's name, or needing help with daily tasks, your nervous system stays in a low-grade fight-or-flight mode. This elevates cortisol, a stress hormone that, over time, weakens your immune system, disrupts sleep, and strains your heart. I've met clients who stopped attending church potlucks or book clubs, not because they lost interest, but because they feared navigating unfamiliar spaces or embarrassing themselves. That withdrawal doesn't just shrink their social world, it shrinks their life. Take James, an 81-year-old veteran I counseled. He was active, walking daily to the park until a minor fall on his porch made him terrified of leaving his apartment. He didn't tell anyone, not even his daughter, because he didn't want to seem weak. Within months, his muscle strength plummeted and he developed insomnia. When we talked, James admitted his fear wasn't just about falling, it was about losing his dignity and becoming that old man who needs constant care. By addressing that fear through physical therapy, balance exercises, and honest conversations with his family, James regained confidence. He even started hosting poker nights again, something he thought he'd never do. The original content mentions emotional suppression, but I believe fear is a distinct and often more paralyzing force. Fear can stop you before grief even begins, locking you in a cycle of avoidance. My advice is to name your fears, even if it's just to yourself. Write them down in a journal or share them with a trusted friend or therapist. Then take one small step to face them, like using a walker for stability, practicing memory games, or asking for help with a task you've been avoiding. These actions don't erase fear, but they shrink it, freeing your body and mind to thrive. I also recommend building a fear-facing toolkit. For example, one client, Susan, 84, feared forgetting important dates. She started using a simple calendar app on her phone, which boosted her confidence and reduced anxiety. Another client, worried about falls, enrolled in a Tai Chi class at his senior center, which improved his balance and made him feel empowered. These small tools and practices can make a big difference. Unlike the original's focus on grief, addressing fear proactively prevents the physical toll of chronic stress, which can accelerate aging. If you've been holding back because of fear, try this. Identify one thing you've avoided, maybe a social event or a short walk, and take a tiny step toward it today. It could be as simple as walking to your mailbox with a cane or calling a friend to reconnect. Your body will thank you, and you'll feel a little lighter. Fear is universal, but so is courage. Comment reason 2 below if you're ready to face a fear and reclaim a piece of your life. Reason 3, neglecting sensory stimulation. A third unexpected reason people struggle past 80 is the gradual neglect of sensory stimulation. The sights, sounds, smells, and textures that keep your brain and body engaged. As we age, senses like hearing and vision naturally decline. But many seniors unintentionally let their sensory world shrink further by staying indoors or sticking to familiar, bland environments. In my work, I've seen how a lack of sensory input accelerates physical and mental decline, yet it's rarely discussed as a key factor in longevity. Your senses aren't just for pleasure, they're critical for brain health. The brain relies on diverse sensory input to maintain neural pathways. For example, smelling fresh coffee or hearing a grandchild's laugh activates the amygdala, boosting mood and memory. But after 80, many people spend their days in quiet, visually dull spaces, like a living room with the TV on low or curtains drawn. This sensory deprivation starves the brain, leading to apathy, depression, and faster cognitive decline. It's not just about the brain either. Sensory engagement supports physical health by encouraging movement and reducing stress. I once met Clara, 85, who lived alone and rarely left her house after her vision worsened. Her days were spent in near silence, with minimal color or texture in her environment. She felt dull, and her family noticed she was forgetting words. When I suggested she sit on her porch daily to listen to the neighborhood, kids playing, birds chirping, and touch different textures like a soft scarf or rough tree bark, her mood lifted. She also started playing classical music, which brought back memories of her youth. Within weeks, her speech improved, and she felt more connected to the world. The original content mentions light exposure for sleep, but sensory stimulation is broader and just as vital. My take: don't just seek light, seek variety. Listen to jazz from your younger years, smell spices while cooking, or stroke a pet's fur. These small acts keep your brain wired and your spirit alive. I've seen this work wonders with clients like Robert, 88, who felt isolated in his apartment. He started tending a small herb garden on his balcony, smelling mint and rosemary daily. The sensory input not only lifted his mood, but also motivated him to walk more, improving his circulation. To enrich your sensory world, try visiting a local park to feel the breeze or taste a new fruit at the grocery store. Even if mobility is limited, open a window to hear outside sounds or keep a scented candle nearby. These acts are accessible and powerful. Unlike the original's focus on sleep cycles, sensory stimulation addresses a wider range of health benefits, from emotional resilience to physical vitality. For those with sensory impairments, like hearing loss, small adaptations, like using headphones for music or magnifying glasses for reading, can make a big difference. Try this. Spend 10 minutes daily engaging a different sense. Taste a new tea, listen to a favorite song, or look at colorful photos in a magazine. It's not just fun, it's survival. If you're caring for a loved one, help them access sensory experiences, like playing their favorite old records. Comment reason 3 below if you're ready to reawaken your senses and bring more vibrancy to your days. Reason 4, the loss of intergenerational connection. Another hidden factor shortening life after 80 is the loss of intergenerational connection, regular, meaningful interactions with younger people. While social ties are important, connections across generations are uniquely vital. They provide perspective, energy, and a sense of relevance that keeps seniors anchored to the present and hopeful for the future. In my counseling practice, I've seen seniors thrive when they engage with younger generations. Yet this factor is often overlooked in discussions about aging. Intergenerational connections do more than lift mood. They signal to the brain that you're still part of a dynamic, evolving world. Sharing stories with a teenager or teaching a grandchild to bake keeps you mentally sharp and emotionally grounded. Without these interactions, seniors can feel irrelevant, like their wisdom no longer matters. This emotional disconnection raises stress hormones, weakens immunity, and dims vitality. In contrast, time with younger people sparks joy and curiosity, which support heart health and cognitive function. Consider Evelyn, 87, who felt isolated after moving to a senior community with few young visitors. She described her days as gray and lacked motivation to get out of bed. When her daughter arranged for a local high school volunteer to visit weekly to learn about Evelyn's life as a nurse, everything changed. Sharing her stories gave Evelyn purpose, and the teen's energy rekindled her own. Her blood pressure stabilized, and she started smiling more. I've seen similar transformations when seniors join programs like Adopt a Grandparent or mentor young adults at community centers. The original content emphasizes microsocial engagement, but I believe intergenerational connection is a distinct and critical gap. Younger people bring fresh perspectives that challenge seniors to stay curious and engaged. For example, one client, Frank, 84, learned to use Zoom to chat with his teenage nieces about their school projects. Those calls didn't just strengthen family ties, they gave Frank a reason to stay tech-savvy and mentally active. These connections also combat the stereotype that aging means irrelevance, which can erode self-esteem. To rebuild these connections, join a community program, like a library reading group for kids, or volunteer to share your skills at a local school. Even small moments, like chatting with a young cashier at the grocery store, can make a difference. If mobility is an issue, invite younger family members over for a game night or ask them to teach you something new, like a social media app. These interactions remind you that your presence still shapes the world. Try this. Reach out to someone younger this week. Ask about their dreams or share a memory from your past. It's a gift to both of you. If you're caring for a loved one, encourage visits from younger relatives or neighbors. Comment reason 4 below if you're inspired to connect across generations and keep your spirit young. Reason 5, over-reliance on routine. A fifth reason people struggle past 80 is an over-reliance on routine, sticking so rigidly to the same daily patterns that life becomes predictable but stagnant. While routines provide comfort and structure, they can also trap you, limiting growth and dulling your mind and body. In my experience, seniors who cling too tightly to the way things are often lose the flexibility needed to adapt to aging's challenges, which can accelerate decline. Routines are double-edged. A morning coffee ritual or weekly book club can anchor your day, giving it shape and purpose. But when every moment is scripted, breakfast at 7, news at 8, nap at noon, you miss opportunities to grow. The brain thrives on novelty, and the body needs varied movement to stay strong. Overly rigid routines also make it harder to cope with disruptions, like a doctor's visit or a family event, which can feel overwhelming and lead to withdrawal. This rigidity can even affect mood, making you feel stuck or uninspired. I worked with Henry, 82, a retired accountant who followed the same schedule for years. When his daughter moved away, disrupting his weekly visits, he spiraled into depression, unable to adjust. By introducing small changes, like trying a new cafe, rearranging his furniture, or joining a senior exercise class, Henry regained a sense of control. Within weeks, he was more talkative and even started painting, something he hadn't done since high school. His energy returned and he felt less trapped by his days. The original content mentions purpose, but I'd argue that breaking free from excessive routine is just as crucial. Routines can become a crutch, preventing you from discovering new passions or adapting to life's changes. My advice, shake things up gently. Take a different walking route. Try a new hobby like birdwatching or rearrange your living space. These changes keep your brain nimble and your body resilient. I've seen clients transform by making small tweaks, like listening to a new radio station or cooking a recipe from a different culture. Another benefit of breaking routines is improved resilience. Aging brings unexpected challenges, health setbacks, family changes, or mobility issues. If you're too set in your ways, these disruptions can feel insurmountable. But by practicing flexibility now, you build mental and physical agility. For example, one client, Betty, 85, always ate dinner at 5 p.m. sharp. When she started varying her meal times to join friends for evening outings, she not only enjoyed herself more, but also felt less anxious about unexpected schedule changes. Try this. Change one part of your routine this week, like eating breakfast in a different spot or trying a new activity, such as chair yoga. Notice how it feels to step outside your comfort zone. If you're caring for a loved one, gently encourage them to try something new, like watching a different TV show or visiting a new place. These small shifts can reignite joy and keep life dynamic. Comment reason 5 below if you're ready to mix things up and embrace a little change. Reason 6, ignoring spiritual or existential needs. The final reason people struggle past 80 is ignoring spiritual or existential needs, the search for meaning, peace, or connection to something larger than oneself. Whether through faith, nature, or personal reflection, these needs ground us, especially in later years. In my counseling, I've seen seniors who neglect this dimension feel adrift, even if they're physically healthy. This quiet despair can sap energy and weaken resilience, shortening life in subtle ways. After 80, life's big questions about legacy, purpose, or what comes next become more pressing. Ignoring them can lead to a sense of emptiness that no amount of physical health can fill. Spiritual practices like prayer, meditation, or journaling about gratitude lower stress and boost immune function by fostering hope and calm. But many seniors drift away from these practices, perhaps because they feel disconnected from old beliefs, lack a supportive community, or simply don't know where to start. This disconnection can manifest as restlessness, low mood, or even physical symptoms like fatigue. I met Dorothy, 89, who felt empty despite good health. She'd stopped attending church after mobility issues and hadn't found a substitute. When we explored simple rituals like writing letters to her late husband, sitting quietly in her garden, or reading poetry, she found peace. Her sleep improved, and she felt more connected to life. Dorothy's story shows that spiritual health isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, meaningful acts that anchor you. The original content doesn't address this, but I see it as a critical gap. Spiritual health isn't just about religion. It's about finding meaning in your existence. For some, it's volunteering to help others. For others, it's watching a sunset and feeling part of the universe. I've had clients find solace in writing letters to future generations, sharing life lessons for their great-grandchildren. Others reconnect with nature, like tending a small flower bed or listening to rain. These acts remind you that your life still matters, even as the world changes. Ignoring these needs can also affect physical health. Chronic existential stress, feeling like life has no purpose, raises inflammation and weakens the heart. In contrast, studies show that seniors with a sense of meaning live longer and recover faster from illness. One client, George, 87, felt lost after retiring from his volunteer work. When he started mentoring young men at a community center, sharing his experiences as a father, he found renewed purpose. His energy returned, and he even started exercising again. To nurture your spiritual side, try meditating for 5 minutes, writing about what you're grateful for, or connecting with nature. If faith was once important, explore accessible options, like online services or a discussion group. If you're caring for a loved one, ask them what brings them peace and help them access it, whether it's music or a quiet moment outdoors. These acts are lifelines. Comment reason 6 below if you're ready to explore your deeper needs and find meaning in your days. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the 6 unexpected reasons we've explored. The erosion of curiosity, unspoken fears, neglected sensory stimulation, lost intergenerational connections, over-reliance on routine, and ignored spiritual needs. What strikes me most is how these factors aren't dramatic. They're quiet shifts that accumulate over time. But that's also the good news. Small, intentional changes can reverse them. The biggest lesson I've learned, both from my clients and my own grandmother, is that thriving past 80 isn't about defying aging. It's about staying engaged with life. My grandmother, who lived to 92, taught me this when she insisted on learning to text at 90 to stay close to her great-grandkids. Her curiosity, courage, and connection kept her vibrant. You have that same power. Which of these reasons hit home for you? What's one step you'll take today? Maybe a walk to spark curiosity, a conversation to face a fear, or a moment of reflection. Share it in the comments. Your story could inspire someone else. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more insights to help you or your loved ones age with vitality. Your support keeps this channel growing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Let's keep this conversation going in the next video. Until then, keep living fully, one small step at a time.